Guys, I literally have no idea what I'm doing. And before you say, oh, but you're a full-time software engineer and have been programming for like 10 years. Yeah, whatever, man. Java sucks. Programming sucks. My whole life is crumbling around me. Yikes. Ooh, sorry you guys had to see that. Anyways, I wrote a mod for Slay the Spire that makes every single card exhaust. Why did I do this? Well, definitely not because I'm running out of challenge ideas for the base game. Of course not. No, I did it because it sounded stupid hard, and oh boy was it. You're telling me I can play a game mode where my starting deck can deal a maximum of 33 damage before I run out of cards? Sounds horrible. I'm in. If you also want to give this nightmare a try, I included a link to the Steam Workshop mod in the description. I'm so excited for all of the comments from people saying that they beat it in one attempt and that I'm actually trash. This challenge really only has one rule besides the whole everything exhausts bit. I went ahead and banned Dead Branch, that relic that adds a card into your deck whenever something exhausts. If you need me to explain why, then I don't know, man. I don't know. The run starts with my character choice of the Silent. The Watcher is just objectively better for this challenge with the whole slew of cards that create more cards, but I hate the Watcher and you'd find me dead before I pick up Study. From the Whale, I pick up Niao's Lament, as much like a lot of my other challenges, I literally just can't kill 3 of the 4 possible first enemies if they have full health. After scoping out a pretty nice looking low enemy route to the boss, I took on the Jawworm to pick up a weak potion and Eviscerate. Because I'd only be able to play any given card once, I'd most likely be picking up every single card reward possible. My strategy for which card to pick really just boiled down to which card does the most damage or puts up the most block. Oh, that one? Okay. From the shop on the next floor, I considered picking up Cloak and Dagger, which puts up 6 block and deals 4 damage, but ended up grabbing the Fairy in a Bottle, which I'm realizing now was just kind of dumb. Very rarely were my attempts dying. More often I would just run out of cards with like 40 HP left and have to reset. With my bad potion pickup behind me, I added the Golden Idol to my relic bag for 17 damage, upgraded a Defend and Survivor for 14 damage, and then picked up 75 gold for 11 damage. On 28 health, after literally taking 42 damage from 3 event spaces, I healed up back to 49 at the rest site, and then took out the Louses for my second 1 HP combat. Choke was my card reward of choice with its theoretically infinite damage cap, which has really just absolutely terrible synergy with Eviscerate, which I upgraded at the next campfire. My Act 1 relic was Strawberry. Are we sure this is the successful run? Can someone check with production? It is? I mean, okay. In the lab, I picked up the Fire Potion and actually ended up throwing away the Fairy in a Bottle I had so recently purchased in favor of a Flex Potion. Like $100 just down the drain. The Slimes were my final easy combat and... Oh... Okay, I see why this run worked. Wraith Form. Arguably the best standalone card in the entire game if you don't consider Feed or Adrenaline or Catalyst or Seek or Echo Form or Lesson Learned or Blasphemy. Well, regardless. With Wraith Form in my deck, I can focus on using my limited combat rewards to pick up offensive cards rather than defensive ones. If I tried to split my attention between attacking and blocking, there's no way I would be able to pick up enough cards before the Act 1 boss to deal 250 plus damage. With an upgrade to Choke, I ran into possibly the best event room for the challenge, Match and Keep. With a very lucky few matches, I picked up Backstab, a great zero-cost card, and a second Neutralize, a pretty good zero-cost card. With a little bit more power in my deck, I took on the Red Slaver, and a lucky Eviscerate draw defeated him on turn 2. My last card reward before the boss was quite possibly the most important one of the entire run. Endless Agony. While normally one of the worst, most disgusting garbage no-good trash F-tier cards in the entire game, is actually very strong when literally every single card disappears after being used once. Assuming I could play all of my other cards while letting Endless Agony rotate through my hand, by the time I was out of normal cards, I should theoretically have an infinite supply of 4 damage zero-cost cards. Not actually that crazy, but at least now I won't be able to run out of cards. After an upgrade to Endless Agony, bringing its attack from 4 to 6, it was time to put my strategy to the test against the Slime Boss. In terms of raw HP, the slime boss is sort of deceiving. The other Act 1 bosses have right around 250 HP, whereas Mr. Boss only has 140. That's actually a straight up lie though, because if I don't split him properly, that doubles to 280, and if I don't get a clean split on the large slimes, that can double again to 560, which would be bad. With a nice choke draw on turn 1, I took him down to 101, and then my flex potion let Eviscerate deal 42. After tossing in a neutralize and my fire potion, I was able to split the boss on only 31, which is more than I could ever have hoped for. A few turns of passive blocking later, I drew 4 Endless Agonies and 2 strikes, enough to take out the acid slime, and with an unnecessary weak potion thrown on the spike slime, I had more than enough time to let my unplayed Endless Agonies circle through until I was able to take the remaining slime down to 3, splitting him into 2 very measly medium slimes that I finished off in the very next turn. With Wraith Form as the only unplayed card remaining in my deck, I realized that things wouldn't be getting easier. For my rare card reward, I grabbed Envenom, as it theoretically just increased my Endless Agonies attack damage from 6 to 7, and then picked up Sacred Bark after having used literally all 3 of my potions in that fight. After a few hours of attempts, I had realized that cards that normally exhaust like Endless Agony and basically every single power card are fantastic for this challenge because their effects are permanent. With that in mind, I headed into Act 2 on the hunt for more powers. The thieves greeted me with a combined health pool of almost 100. The start of Act 2 is where most of my runs actually just ended up dying simply because the common enemies have a ton of health. You've got the birds with 75 total health, the Sphere Guardian with at least 60, not including the 15 additional block every few turns, the Shelled Parasite with 70, the Chosen with 100, Snecko with 120, health pools that my meager 19 card deck would just not be able to chew through. A lucky Wraith Form let me escape the battle with only a few HP lost, although I barely wasn't able to take out the second looter before he got away with some of my cash money. I picked up an upgraded Cloak and Dagger and bumped into the Shelled Parasite. With so much block, it was hard to actually deal any real HP damage, and before I knew it, I was out of cards. Endless Agony once again came in clutch, taking out the beast with 0 cards remaining. I picked up another backstab and then stumbled into a surprise treasure room with a run-defining relic Shuriken. Finally, some scaling. With my high card turnover, it shouldn't be too hard to play 3 attacks per turn, especially with Wraith Form blocking damage for me. The snake plant in the next room got an up-close look at my newfound strength, and with a useless power potion thrown in, was vanquished on turn 3. Yet another Cloak and Dagger found its way into my deck and was immediately put to good use after tossing a vulnerability potion at the Chosen, choking him out, and then stabbing him 4 times. Wait, 2 health? Man, whatever. The combat only lasted a few more turns before I grabbed Skewer, which was promptly upgraded at the rest site. I had to pop my attack potion in my fight against the Sentinel and Spheric Guardian to draw a lucky double dash, allowing me to escape the combat only 3 HP lighter. Terror was my card reward of choice, and then I finally gave Wraith Form the respect it deserved by smithing it at the campfire. Akabeko was my relic reward for the Act 2 chest, which, guys, I'm going to be totally honest here, this is the first time I've actually ever seen this relic. I just don't play Water, guys. Chill. It's not my fault they paywalled this thing behind a garbage character. After like 7 straight combats in a row, I finally ended up resting, and oh boy, am I glad I did, as the masked bandits were waiting for me in the next room, ready to steal my almost 400 gold. With a shop on the horizon, I opted to keep my cash and locked in. Holy crap, Akabeko makes Eviscerate do 51 damage? Jesus. Man, maybe this relic will fill that empty void that Sandra left after the divorce. Just, therapy isn't helping. I just want to see my kids. Well, I was able to drown my sorrows in a strength potion, allowing me to take out Bear and... Wait, what's this guy's name? Pointy? Wait, what the hell? The other guy's name is Romeo? What? Why do they have names? And also, why is this a literal child? Whatever, man. 2 backstabs were the end of the 8-year-old named Pointy, and then all that was left was Romeo. He had much ado about him, but I was like, Romeo, as you like it, but I'm measure for measures ahead of you. He tried to act like King Lierning, some new moves, but when I threw the Tempest at him, he totally froze. I said, "Look, you're just a Midsummer Night's Dream if you think you stand a chance." Oh, gosh. Okay, that was a Chat GPT joke, and I'm disappointed, I guess. Well, enough of that fever dream. I grabbed the red mask and a second cloak and dagger. I honestly probably should have picked up accuracy, but with strength being my scaling of choice, I thought more shivs would be the better pick. With my only shot for the act blocked by a buffed elite, I charged forward, ready to spend my... Oh, nice. The Gremlin leader with 36 additional max health was the champion I was set to defeat. With my backstabs, I nearly took out both of his minions, and on his first attacking turn, I lucked out, drawing the perfect cards to block all 35 incoming damage. Okay, wait, what? Why didn't I put up any block this turn? I was just planning on eating like the 50 damage, and I'm supposed to be good at this game? Crazy, man. Well, down to 14 health after whatever the hell that was, I was able to whittle the elite down just enough until the poison buildup defeated him. I picked up Darkstone Periap and... Ooh, Nightmare. Oh man, assuming I drew both Nightmare and Wraith Form on the same turn, I could have 12 turns worth of intangibility floating around my deck. More than enough to let my strength and endless agony count build up until I was an unstoppable monster with negative 40 defense. The event space before my shop was Ancient Writing, where I upgraded all of my strikes and defends, which honestly is just really good. I don't normally upgrade strikes or defends, but that 3 additional damage and block is actually pretty nice. Okay, finally, time to do some shopping. First off, I bought the Regal Pillow as I was at 14 with a single campfire between me and the Act 2 boss. Next was Dolly's Mirror, and oh boy, this run is about to get wacky. With 2 nightmares in my deck, I could theoretically nightmare a nightmare, which then nightmares another nightmare, which allows me to nightmare 2 more nightmares, which I can then nightmare a wraith form and then nightmare another wraith form, and Jesus Christ, this game is wild! I ended up using all the rest of my gold to buy a poison potion and a fruit juice, which I drank immediately. With $0, 2 nightmares, and 65 health, I approached the champ. This fight is literally one of the coolest boss fights I have ever had in any Slay the Spire run. After a couple turns of chip damage, I was on 51, the champ was on 284, and I drew the perfect hand. A Nightmare to Wraith form added 3 more to my deck, one of which was played the very next turn. And then I played another one, and then another one, and then, might as well nightmare it again. While all of this was happening, Endless Agony kept doubling and doubling and doubling again. The last thing the champ ever saw was me, playing 8 Endless Agonies with negative 33 defense. That was crazy. After the Whirlwind fight, I picked up Phantasmal Killer with the intent of playing it right before my big Endless Agony turn, and then grabbed Astrolabe to turn 2 strikes and a defend into Slice, Poison Stab, and Glass Knife. I was considering just transforming 3 defends, but because not every fight will last long enough for me to set up my wall of intangibility, keeping a few block cards in my deck was important. Act 3 kicked off against these shapes, who didn't give me much trouble, but did give me a second poison stab. The shop on the next floor had a membership card, literally $1 too expensive. Instead, I grabbed a second Eviscerate and continued onward into a fight with the Darklings. A few missteps along the way left me with 50 HP, and the realization that although my Nightmare and Wraith form strategy worked great for bosses, in these common enemy fights there was never enough time to actually set it all up, so I was just getting demolished. Instead of reevaluating my plan, I doubled down, picking up Blade Dance, which, with Shuriken, was a guaranteed +1 strength. Oh, nope, okay, apparently I took Cloak and Dagger. Why? Whatever, we're in the home stretch now. My second encounter with these shapes was much like my first, besides the fact that I lost 11 HP. I did, however, grab Flying Knee, which would hopefully make playing Wraith form easier. I traded some gold for Ginger, a great relic that benefits my low damage, high card usage based deck, took out the Jawworm, losing some more HP, and then finally came to my senses and picked up Dash for some much appreciated block. Mind Bloom appeared at possibly the worst time, as with only 15 HP, I didn't want to risk an Act 1 boss fight. Instead, with Darkstone Periap, I healed the full and picked up Doubt, which, thanks to my recently acquired Ginger, was effectively a free 6 max HP. The Campfire let me smith Nightmare, bringing its energy cost to 2, and then I pulled Blood Vial as my final relic of the run. The Transient was a bit annoying with my early Wraith form draw, but with a Nightmare to Glass Knife, I only ended up taking 26 damage, which I don't know if only is the correct word there, but this challenge is hard, man. My card of choice was Alchemize. With Sacred Bark, the more potions, the better. Oh cool, I'm falling to my death. Guess I'll lose one of my 3 best cards. Eviscerate was the card to go, as I already had 2. Still stings. The Rest Sight let me smith Alchemize, converting it into a free potion rather than a 1 energy potion, and then a Surprise Shop let me remove the Benign Doubt, which would just be floating around in my deck without any way to exhaust it. The final non-boss combat of the run was against the Spire Growth, which, with a lucky Nightmare and Wraith form draw, lasted a mere 3 turns. My last card addition was a 3rd Backstab, bringing my total deck size to 34. With full health and a full potion belt, I was as prepared as I could be for the biggest challenge of the run, the Awakened one. With 600 total health between his 2 phases, 2 50 HP cultists, and 10 regen, this was by far the most damage my deck would need to produce. I started out drinking my Thorns potion, playing Alchemize to obtain a block potion, and then tossing my boosted poison pot at the bird. Oh cool, and I guess I also drank the block potion to give myself 24 block against the Awakened one's 15 damage. Sick. By turn 2, one of the cultists was taken care of, and turn 3 was the end of the other one. Now, all that stands between me and victory was this wacky guy. And also his 2nd phase, I guess. I unfortunately wasn't doing too well. I kept drawing Nightmare and Wraith form on different turns, meaning that in my attempt to put up block, I was running out of cards fast. I was down to 28 HP with less than half my deck remaining by the time a Skewer took the boss into his 2nd phase. By the time I finally drew Wraith form and Nightmare on the same turn, it was too late. The Awakened one was dealing 41 damage, and even with my upgraded Defend, I wouldn't live. I was forced to play my Wraith form without being able to duplicate it, putting this fight on a 3-turn clock. 3 turns to deal 300 damage with only 13 cards. I Nightmared a Cloak and Dagger, which with 6 shivs would bump my strength up by 2. Turn 1 over, 214 health to go. Turn 2 over, 140 health to go. Turn 3 over. Time to deal 63 damage. Oh Jesus, I have 8 strength? Each Endless Agony is dealing 14? Huh. Well, with 43 cards exhausted, I proved that Endless Agony is actually a really good card, as long as everything exhausts. Thanks for watching.